What we're gonna do right here is go back. What we're gonna do right here is go back. Go back, go back, go back, go back, go back.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Kuma Style Reviews. What we're looking at today is Fansproject, their Warbot series, the Revolver core. So Revolver is actually their obvious, blatantly obvious tribute to Roadbuster. And this is the fourth, I believe, in their Warbot series. Yeah. So they started with Defender, which was their tribute to Springer. Then came Steel Core, which was actually a bot of its own. Then there was Assaulter, which is my favorite so far. Hopefully this, meets or exceeds that, but it was their tribute to Assaulter, and that's still one of the favorite Transformer toys that I own. We've just taken a look at the box. Pretty standard packaging. All of these have been the same size. They all come with this plastic outer casing part. And the cool part is, even Assaulter, it was like 2 inches bigger than all the rest of them. They actually kind of just shifted his legs down and stuff like that to make sure the boxes were all the exact same size. I really love consistent packaging like that. Alright. Now, just making sure I'm not missing any seals here or anything like that. For whatever reason with these stickers, I don't exactly like to rip them. So I always just take them, put them on the side of the box. I don't know why I do it, but I do it. Alright? I'm taking this out. Got plastic, the robot in its plastic shell. We've got his weapons here. And his instructions. Okay. And one more thing that's pretty cool about the box. Shows a preview. Let me zoom in here. For what a lot of people are saying is their tribute to Rack and Ruin, but you see Recoiler core and Rift Shop core. Alright. Zoom it out. There you go. That's what's in the box. So now we can look at the toy. Right, and we're just taking a quick look over the robot mode. I'm going to start off with Revolver himself. He's a little guy on the left here. So the reason I have steel out as well is to show off how cross-compatible they are. Even though they look quite a bit different, if you notice, like the body styles and stuff like that are actually the same. We'll go ahead and take a look at the posability of one, because it describes the other. But basic, shoulder movement here on the shoulder pads. Let me actually focus so you guys can see. Shoulder movement on the actual pads here. Alright. Elbows on the inside. You just take that to move that in and out. That's how you'd swing the arm up and down. But then the elbow's right here. Alright. No body movement. Alright. Some thigh rotation there. Swings forward, back, not very far out. Okay, no thigh swivel or anything like that. And bend at the knee. Okay? Alright. I do like the differences in the looks of these two. I like that they gave him the more aviation style goggles and stuff like that. It's just really neat that they made him look, quite a bit different. Even the leg detail and stuff like that. So, I'm going to go through the transformation here. It's quick. You just put the arms down. Alright, you turn the head backwards. Boom. Just fold it in half. These outer pieces right here, get it in focus. just peg into each other. Make sure they're straight. And then the legs come up, and this tab right here, they just peg in. Okay? And I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. Just turn this head backwards there. Jeez, that was just tighter. And it's just lining it up right now, making sure everything gets pegged in pretty tight. This one, for whatever reason, the joints are a lot more tight. One thing I really didn't do with the core robot on steel core is ever really play with them. It kind of is what it is, so not too much to it. Looks cool, but... Alright, and there we go. Now they're in their core mode. Okay. So, you see Revolver, or, Revolver's robot over here, Steel's robot over here. They look quite a bit different. They are not remolds of each other or anything like that. So they're not going to peg in the same way, even though the pegs are exactly the same. They're just these pieces right here. Okay. So on Steel, it's on the chest. You can peg that one in at the chest. Zoom into them right there. Or you could peg Revolver into the chest. Just the same. Okay? Now, with the Roadbuster main body, get Steel out of the way there, or Steel's robot out of the way. You see, he doesn't have a peg in the chest. So, the way that they go into him, either or, is they just peg in, and then these two pieces just overlay it. So, for whatever reason, that one's going in. Oh, okay, I just had to shift it over some. But there you go. There's one, and here's Revolver. Okay. Okay. And they both fit in there pretty snug. Right? And I've been asked on the forums if my two locks here tab in really tight. They don't. They don't move or anything like that, but they're not like a super tight fit. I can move them in and out, with ease there. But alright, that's showing off Revolver, the core robot, and how that works. Alright, now that we've got Revolver pegged in on the back, we've got Roadbuster in its main form. Alright, now looking at the weapon combinations here, you've got a couple of options. You can take small pistol plus the rifle, have a larger gun that way. You can do the same thing with small pistol and the more bazooka type and do it that way. Or you could take small pistol, bazooka, and the rifle type weapon, and remember that peg swings down. Okay, if you didn't notice that. Take this, and there's a peg on the top of the bazooka right there. Peg that in, and then taking this, pegging that in. So now you got a really big one. Now, of course, he could hold it in his hand, but personally, when you've got the big guy here, I like pegging it in over his shoulder. Really gives him that more dynamic Roadbuster, badass wrecker type vibe. Okay? Alright, that's the weapon. So, what we're going to do now is actually go over the robot itself and just its posability. Now, starting with the head, Get some better lighting on there. Background's all of a sudden shiny. Jeez. Okay. Alright. Starting with the head. It is on a ball joint, but because the head's a bit sunken, it doesn't leave a lot of room for really good rotation side to side. He does have great up and down movement though. Just that side to side is where it really suffers. Okay. Now the shoulders get that outward movement. These whole pads here just swing outwards, and there's even farther outward movement in the arm itself. So you could swing that up, and then this has its own separate movement. Of course, rotates front and backwards. So great amount of movement there. Definitely have bicep swivel, single jointed elbows, but you know, goes to a normal 45-degree angle there. Wrist rotation. Waist swivel. Full movement in the thighs. Not a lot of outward swing though, so that's kind of disappointing. Thigh swivel. Double jointed knees. And you'll see why that's used in the transformation. Okay. And the feet do tilt forward and backwards, and the front of them actually swings around to give it some ankle rotation. Okay. Now, a big thing I read about was heel support. People didn't know if he had it or not. He does. It's just not the best because, as you can see, it doesn't go back past his actual calf itself, really. But it's not a back heavy figure, so it's not affected in that way, you know? Somebody brought up the thought of die cast and stuff like that. Yeah, of course that would help with the stability if it was in the lower legs here and things like that. But after seeing how it weakened Warbot Defender's knees, I'm glad that there's not, since it's not really a necessary thing. I would definitely call it more of a extracurricular than a necessity. But alright, that is the robot mode. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and transform them. This transformation is extremely simple. In fact, the only part that I had a little bit of difficulty at was right at the beginning. I'll show you guys what's up with that, but yeah, let's go ahead and go through this. So, we've got the weapons here. Just going to move those to the side, everything's separated. On the back, if you remember from the first section where we looked at Revolver, the core robot, we're just going to pull him out. Okay. We're going to get him transformed back into robot mode. Okay, so you just bring the feet down, or the legs, fold them in half, and honestly, he's transformed. You just take the head up, turn it around, and there you go. Okay, so we're going to put him to the side too. Now we're going to go ahead and get to transforming the main body. Okay, so after we take out Revolver, this is the hard part. This is literally the first step. So I'm going to zoom in here. See these two pieces? They actually fold into each other. Alright? The first time I did it, I had a really hard time getting them to peg in. You can see here it has the top peg. Let me go down a little bit. Has the top peg, a hole, and the other side has the top hole and the peg. So these pegs aren't exactly square. They're like locking pegs. So the only problem was I just didn't press it hard enough and make sure that they were in tight. It's kind of scary, but if you look inside of there, you can actually see where they peg in. And honestly, I just put my fingers on them and snap them together. Boom. That was the hard part. So okay. We've got that pegged in. We're going to get to transforming the rest of this. So looking at the top here, this chest piece in the front, all of this comes up. Alright, make sure you guys can still see that. actually going to take some light off of it. It's making the orange really bright. Alright. And as you start to bring that up, this head and neck, this part slides up. See how it slid up there? That chest filler. Slide that up. And then the head and neck, push that in. Okay? Alright. Now this is really important for the end. These fists, rotate them outwards so that the palms are facing out. Okay? Like that. Same thing for the other side. Okay? Alright. So from there, I'm going to zoom into the fist area. You can see it's already started to go up, but you can take that, just rotate it straight to the side there. Same thing for the other side. This whole thing just rotates. I actually just used that piece back there to rotate it. There you go. Alright. So now this is what you got. Remember, we took those back pieces, clipped them together. The chest piece, I flipped that up. Flip the head in. The hands, I rotated them outwards. And then brought them up at, you know, that wrist area. That's a swivel. Okay? Alright. So now, all we're doing, bending at the elbows here. Alright. As well as on this side. Okay? It's normal bend at the elbows, nothing crazy. Alright? Still want it that way. We want these down. Down and forward. Alright, so once again, just showing you what you got. This is so simple that's why I'm being so thorough about it. Also, I watched this guy, I believe you pronounce it Broban, his review of Warden, and he was just really in depth, and I like that. I like being able to see every tab that he did and things like that. It's a good review. You guys should check him out. I'll leave a link in my section. Alright, so I started doing it while I was talking, but I took the arms, brought them out a bit, see, like so, and that's because you have to rotate them. Alright, and those wheel covers there, if I didn't bring those arms out, it would have been blocked from being able to do that, okay? So then, got that. And what we're going to do now, I'm going to zoom in to the shoulder here. We're just bringing the whole thing up. And see that peg? It pegs in to a hole in the shoulder. Okay, so we got that. And we're just doing the opposite side here. Okay. Alright. Now with the wheels, we're just taking those and rotating them up. Rotating them up. Alright. Now from here, what we're doing, oops, we're rotating these down. Alright. And that's, see how that looks different? That's just because they got rotated out. But alright. Just so you can see what you've got there. Alright, so nothing too crazy. We're about halfway through. Alright, so at this point, I'm going to zoom out. What we're going to do is take these arms, take these whole pieces here, and move them forward. Up top here, these two guards peg into each other. Okay? That makes it even easier. So that's what you got, and you can see the top part of the car already forming there. Okay? Now, zooming back in, these green windows, rotate them down. Just rotate them straight down and out. Okay? Now, what you do is take these two halves, you rotate them inwards, and there you go. See how the windows meet and everything like that? Everything just locks in really well. Now from here, in this middle section, the seat, or the head of the seat, just flips out. Okay. So that's the top of the car right there. For the most part, you pretty much got it. Now, the last thing you're going to want to do, and you can do this at any point, is see how you've got that guard there? Now you can take this whole thing, and it's like a double ledge. See how I'm going out and then over? Boom. Now the front of the car is completed. Okay? So I'm taking this whole thing, I just rotated it at the waist. So the crotch is going to be on the bottom now. Alright? So now we're looking at the front. So you can see the front of the shins here. That's what we're going to be working with. Zoom in a little bit there. Okay. Now there's a double hinge here. These fronts, they just unpeg. And they double hinge over like that. Front, unpegs. And the whole thing just comes over. Simple. Okay. These wheels or treads on the sides, they each just rotate in. Alright. Now what I'm going to do, I'm taking the whole thing, swiveling at the thigh, swiveling those inwards, okay? Alright. And this is where we're going to have to start making sure our alignment's pretty right. So everything's straight, waist is rotated right at the center there. Because what we need to do now, this is where those double knee joints come in. Bend them once, and then there's another knee joint there. Bend them twice. Alright. Now, these feet on each side, they rotate. Like I said, during the robot mode, for that ankle tilt, we're going to rotate them forward, just opposite. Okay, so that's what you got. Now, this is important. Not really hard, but important. There's a peg hole right there, and a peg on each leg right there. Now, what you're going to do, there are two tabs on the foot too. They're going to tab. Let me zoom in some. Right there. Okay, those two tabs on the feet are going to tab right there. So zooming back out, I advise to get the feet straight. Okay, rotate those up, and then just make sure that you peg that first part into the hole on the thigh. So it's hard for me to give you the visual. Let me see if I can zoom in, and because it does take some finagling, or if you're good, you're just good and you'll get it first try. But see, it's flush. Once you got it in, it's flush. I'm gonna do the opposite now. Okay. There we go. Just make sure they're flush. Okay? And now from there, you could literally just slide the feet pegs into the pegs. Alright? So you're almost done with the bottom of the car. And from there, this whole crotch piece just flips forward. And there's a peg underneath here. You zoom in. That's going to tab into the bottom right there. And that's where that making sure that everything's rotated correctly comes into play. Alright. And I accidentally flipped this up in the whole wiggling around process, so just making sure those parts are flat. Alright. So we're taking that, and it pegs right in. As long as you've got everything lined up like I said before, everything will line it. Just peg in straight up. It's a really clean transformation. I really love this. So now all we have left to do is take these two pieces on the side. They just flip up. They flip up. They automatically peg in. they're just really tight. So I have to remember how I got this up. I'm taking a Dr. Wu sword here, just so I can have something to get under it. Just wedge it up. Okay. Alright. And now, once you've got the windshield flipped up, the car transformation is actually complete. Now, the reason you wanted those pegged out is because these two small pistols peg into each other. Okay? And then, see how you have the hands under there? You peg them into those hands, and that makes the front bumper. Okay. Alright. I'm actually going to bring the camera up some. Shaky, shaky, shaky. Zoom out. Alright, bring that window up some more. And the other two guns, there are pegs on each side. They just peg in. Alright, the holes aren't that deep. They don't peg all the way in, so don't try to peg it in any farther than they go. You're going to stop short. That's right. You did it right. Don't break your guns. Alright? And then, to sit him inside, you just put him in a seated position. Bring his arms up some. And he slides right in. It's kind of a up and over thing. Right. Zoom in so you can see how he looks in his ride. There you go. Line that up a little bit. And there you go. And there you have it. You have transformed him. Jeez, those lights are bright. Into his alt mode. Okay. Alright, so now we're taking a look at the alt mode. Extremely faithful to that G1 styled Roadbuster. Multitude of views here. Alright, so you see he has the front wheels as well as the treads. The problem that I have with this is that the treads not only aren't moving, which is fine, but they don't have any kind of, you know, small wheels or anything like that underneath built into them. So there's no movement on these back wheels here. So, I mean, it rolls okay because the front wheels, you know, they roll, they pull, front wheel drive car, but there's just that extra, you know, it's extracurricular, but it's still pretty cool when you have that movement on the treads and things like that. Since they're there, but overall, pretty cool. I like the creativity of using those two guns as the bumper, as well as the holes instead of pegs for these to place into these back weapons here, so you can angle them however you want. Of course, I love that Revolver can sit inside of here. And even the little details, like the clear glass here on the screen. Oops, shaky camera. Let me focus on that. It's clear, but it's kind of foggy. Just really cool stuff. Alright. Let's zoom out. And there you go. There's the alt mode. I really like it. Alright, now it's time for sizing comparison. Got my measuring tape here. And taking a look, he's just under 7 inches. So a great classics Voyager scale. Now, normally I use like popular classic toys like Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, just because I'm sure everybody owns them. But he's a wrecker, so doing a little bit different this time. Get some of that light off of cup. Okay. What else do I got here? Oh man, I forgot Blur. Or not Blur, Drift. Same mold. Alright, now you have a couple of options for Springer. There's a Generation Springer, which is one of my favorite Hasbro Transformers Classic toys, period. Here he is. But he's almost as tall as Roadbuster. So if you want, what you can do is put in Fansproject's Warbot Defender. And even though it doesn't look quite as nice to me, it scales a whole lot better. There you go. That's how he looks next to some other Classics toys. Alright, so final thoughts on Fansproject's Revolver core. Honestly, I like him quite a bit. He's a very solid figure, very articulated, looks great in the Classics collection, and I mean, he's that definitive Roadbuster, Classics Roadbuster that we've been looking for. So, I definitely recommend it. It's not that just blow your mind feeling that I had with Warden, but it's definitely one that is a must buy if you're a fan of the Transformers Wreckers, if you're a fan of Roadbuster in general. This toy is awesome and it's for you. Even if you're not and you're just into solid, good looking Transformers, it's also for you. It's a thumbs up from me. Thank you for watching, subscribe, and yeah, let me know what you think as well when you guys get them in. Bye.